everybody. I'll do a camera reversal. Turn on a little light action. I want to use the screen. I wanted to get Ian Bjorkman, but it's too hard to time everything out, and I'm on night shift, everybody. So we're going to do this. I've got to transfer it to my laptop. I changed all settings here to go between two different programs. I have a Android, and I get a lot of files on my system, but then they don't open on my Windows 11 here on my laptop. They want me to rebuy the whole Microsoft application from upgrading to Windows 11. I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to just do it the old school way here. We're going to go through it now. So first thing, I can see, everybody can see that. So everybody knows that I'm not frauding anybody on anything or making up anything. This is, for all of you, www.ourcommons.ca Canada, document viewer. And then you see Parliamentary Finance Session 43, Session 2. And you will see right here, 43rd Parliament Session 1, and there's a Session 2. We're going to go through both of them. Doesn't matter. It's the same list of names. So the chair of the time, which is no longer, is the Honourable Wayne Easter. Vice chairs, you have Honourable Pierre Poilievres, Gabrielle St. Marie. Members, you'll see Michael Cooper. You guys all know James Cumming, Julie Derzowitz, Peter Fagasakas, Sean Fraser, Peter Julian, Annie Koutrakis, Michael V. McLeod, Marty Morantz, Mel Arnold, Tony Baldinelli, John Barlow. And then, folks, start going down. We have other members of Parliament who participated. It's going to get bad here, folks. Mel Arnold. There's Tony Baldinelli, obviously keeping the family. John Barlow again. Richard Bragdon. Alexis Bernal Giuseppe, Raquel Dancho, Todd Doherty. As you can see, the list goes on. Scroll down. Whole ton of them here, folks. And this is the Library of Parliament. All the analysts who had this all put into writing after they went through the works. You'll find MP Dane Lloyd there, which is troublesome. So before we get into this, everybody, and I mean, this is hours of presentation for all of you. This is going to be part one because people can't handle such large volume, and I understand that. But I want you guys to focus in here on Dane Lloyd. This is from my hometown, Stony Plain, the MP that has full sponsorship of Danielle Smith, okay? So especially for Albertans, although this is entirely for every Canadian and all First Peoples right across Canada, because it's going to get stomach-turning sickly very soon. There's Rachel Harder too, right? So you can see, folks, that there's no such thing as liberal, conservative NDP. I've tried to tell people this for a very long time. Oh, there's Elizabeth May, Green Party. Okay, folks, so you see the problem here, right? Dane Lloyd, Stony Plain, MP, Conservative, Elizabeth May, Green Party. Look, we got Rachel Harder, we got Liberals, NDP, we got everybody. And top of the pile now is the Honourable Pierre Poilievres, Lifetime Privy Council. You see honourable attachment, folks. These are lifetime sworn Privy Council members. These guys are buddies. Wayne Easter, Liberal, and Pierre Poilievres, Conservative. If you didn't understand the opening of this video when I showed the Conservative Liberal Party of Canada? Well, there it is. Liberal and Conservative. The Liberal Conservative Party of Canada. It really exists. It is there. It's called CPC now, Conservative Party of Canada, but its real name is the Conservative Liberal Party of Canada, Liberal Conservative Party of Canada. There was a Liberal Party too, but those are the only two real parties. There's no such thing as left and right. There's only Crown. Only Crown. And if you want to know what Crown is, Honorable Wayne Easter, Honorable Pierre Poilievres. Now you ready for their monumentous document, signed, sealed, certified, legally has to be published to all of you Canadians, but almost nearly none of you read it. So we're going to go through that together today. And I'm going through this because I want to show you where it is, what it is, and who is signed off on it. So it's there in the House of Commons. I haven't made it up. There's the website, 43rd session. This is 2, but it's part 1 and 2. And we're going to go down to the bottom. So I haven't cheated anybody or made anything up. This is real. Everything they do has to be published. They just don't have to make it readily available for you. So see, table of contents, previous page, next page. I'm just going to go to table of contents first before I do that, so that all of you can see I haven't manipulated anything. Our Commons document, 43rd session 2, and that's the financial report, committee report, which Liberals, NDP, Green, Conservative are all in on it together. I just showed you. See list of members there? There's 2 pages because session 1, session 2. Then there's the mandate, list of recommendations, which we're going to go through. Key ones. I can't go through all of them because it would take me about 4 days, okay? I should have turned off notifications on both. Now I'm getting it on my phone end. But the list of recommendations, investing in tomorrow, Canadian priorities for economic growth and recovery. Do you all feel like you're getting economic growth and recovery? This whopping inflation. Remember, this was published, signed, sealed, certified. Pierre Poilievres absolutely signed off on this. It's on his Facebook for all of you, but nobody ever wants to read it. He's a god. Who cares? Trust what he says, not what he puts into writing. This is what they put into writing. This is the written promise. And we're going to show you. See the people, communities, businesses. We're going to go through that membership. Physical policy, regulatory framework and trade, environment and climate change, conclusions, summary of evidence, meeting held on pre-budget consultations in advance of the 2021 budget, okay? Meeting as of December 21st. They go through nurses union. We're going to go through the unions that are in there. Nearly none of the private sector are there. None of the non-union are there, nearly. We're going to go into business associations. We're going to go into which cities are with Pierre Poilievres and his Liberal Conservatives of Canada, and Elizabeth May, and then the rest of the NDP. They're all in on this one written agenda. All the people, see all this? We can click on it and I can show you the literally 1,000 organizations I went through. All of them, went through all of them. Every single one. Look at that, cities. There's cities here. You'll find that Montreal, Ottawa, which is Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievres' home bases, right? All these consultations with none of you. Remember that, Canadians. None of you are ever consolidated. They tell you who helped write this. List of witnesses, pre-budget consultations in advance of the budget, who got consolidated, and absolutely not one of you. All these companies we're going to go through underneath all of these. Everything that they decided, placed in writing like a written contract, in order for Pierre Poilievres to run for Prime Minister. He had to go through all this and agree. Agree. Multitude. Look, they even got federalism, how they're going to run federalism, what they all agree to, all parties left and right together. And Pierre Poilievres, oh, see that? Dissenting opinion of the Bloc Québécois. Okay, but we're going to find a whole bunch of Quebec businesses and associations all corrupted with the Crown, totally in bed. Bloc was the only one who didn't agree to this because they want green equalization. But it's important now, folks, as we go through all of this. Here's the committee report. This is, session 1. Because there's 2 parts of this, literally 300 policies to go through, 300 plus policies. It's 420 pages of documentation. And it's the same people, just so you all know, session 1 and 2, so there's no Pierre Poilievres getting out of this. There he is right there, sitting in number 2 seat. He's actually number 1 now, because the Liberal Conservative Party of Canada, they did this together, agreed together. This guy no longer exists, so the only Privy Council member signed on to this alive and well today and in power is Pierre Poilievres, about to take over the Conservative Party of Canada. He's going to. It's already been pre-designed. Now we're going to hit table of contents again. I'm just going to show you that I didn't make up anything because I did cut out of this, and I'm going to go to the email, but I want to make sure you all know that I didn't cheat nothing. So we did the mandate list of recommendations, okay? Now these are all signed off. As you all know, Pierre Poilievres' signatures at the end of the document. I just want to show you the list of recommendations, right? Now have a good look here. Recommendation 1, recommendation 2, okay? So now I'm scrolling the page super fast. We're going to go through. This is only the part 1. See how many there are? I'm speeding through it. Okay? This is just up to number 145 on the first page, okay, of that table of contents. But of course, there's lots more to go through. I'm going to have to do this series in many parts. So that's the end of it, right? You see, that's just session 1. Now we're going to go into my email where I painfully went through everything, all their meetings, everything they agreed to, everything Pierre signed off to, and I want to go through and be specific for all of you. I want to be specific with all of you. So here's my email to myself. I cut this out of my file, and I took Standing Committee, February 21st, 2021. It's published on Pierre's Facebook. Nobody wanted to go through it. They believe he is going to be the greatest Prime Minister. Well, this is what he's writtenly agreed to, and following this, we're going to go through all the organizations that he made these promises to. So the first thing, I skipped from 1 because they're all socialist anyway, but I wanted to highlight ones that I want Albertans to understand. I want all Canadians and First Peoples to understand. First thing that I highlighted was recommendation 16. Commit to paying 5% of the global funding needed for vaccine research, production, and development. Earmark $2 billion in 2021 federal budget for that purpose. Okay, folks? That doesn't mean, you guys, global funding needed, meaning that's money to China. We just did that in Canada. There's a whole CBC. This is what Pierre agreed to do. It went right to China. Just like Stephen Harper agreed to bringing in China into Canada, signing off against all of you. 77% of Canadians, regardless of whatever party you're in or not in, said, no, we don't want China in. Conservatives did it anyway, and now, under recommendation 16, the Honorable Privy Council leader, Pierre Poilievres, says he recommends and signed off to this to commit to paying 5% of the global funding needed for vaccine research, production, and deployment, earmarked $2 billion in the 2021 federal budget for that purpose. It all went to China, folks. All went to China. Not to any Canadian vaccine manufacturers. None of it. It all went to global interest, which was China. CBC just did a major coverage of this. Recommendation number 17. Establish national standards for child care, create a nationalized child care system, or increase funding for child care. And what's happened? This, according to Pierre Poilievres. What happened? What did the federal government do? Well, they created $10 a day child care to be subsidized by all Canadians. Working Joe Janes, you got to pay for people's child care. That's what you're going to do. A whopping amount of money. And we're going to get through after this in another part. We're going to go through the financial recommendations of taxation that's really going to blow your shorts off, Canadians and First Peoples. Recommendation number 25. Invest $45 million over 3 years to strengthen Canada's anti-racism strategy and provide more capacity for community-led projects to combat racism. What about their racism? That's the Antifa. So Pierre Poilievres signed off on Antifa. You can see what monies has went to all of that just here in 22 over the last year. Recommendation 39. Address the backlog of land claim and self-government negotiations with Indigenous organizations by increasing the staffing levels of, what does it say, federal? Yeah, federal negotiations. So, folks, hear me out here. Provincial Crown land and federal Crown land. A whopping majority of all provincial Crown land, which is all the First Peoples of Canada's land taken and assumed by the Crown, is provincial. What does hiring federal negotiators have to do? Staffing levels of federal negotiators. How is unceded BC, unceded Ontario, and other parts, but largely those massive ones, and the rest of all federal and provincial Crown land, how does federal staffing help to reduce any of that when there's unceded land and it's basically an Indian war? So it's fluff. They're going to hire more people to do a negotiation that they're not privy to do, not over provincial Crown lands. There will be no sovereignty, as we don't have any according to the Constitution. Every government does this. This is more hiring of people who aren't going to do anything. And it's not their privy in provincial Crown lands, which is the majority, folks. Property rights are of the province. The federal government can't negotiate that. So why is Pierre Poilievres saying he's going to fund a whole bunch of hiring of more federal employees who aren't legally able to get the job done? Jason Kenney just tried to pull that today. 18 hours ago, he just tried to pull the same scam on all Albertans. And they think you guys are all stupid enough to fall for it. Recommendation 42. Extend income support programs such as EI and Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and consider the implementation of a universal basic income program. Are you guys liking liberal, conservative Pierre Poilievres? Look at this. 42. Extend income support programs such as EI and the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy and consider the implementation of a universal basic income program. Is he campaigning on this, folks? Because it's weird. What he has in writing, what he signed off as the Honorable Pierre Poilievres a year ago, is not what he's campaigning on today. He put this in writing, folks. This is his promise, along with all the other left and right members got together and made these promises. This is led by Pierre Poilievres. Folks, this is not made up. This is what he's committed to in writing. And if you don't believe it, I'm going to show you all the organizations, civil societies, corporations, and wealthy billionaires who are backing Pierre Poilievres right now, who had this all drafted. I'm going to show you that. We're going to get through all that. It's going to take a long time. These are just the highlights, folks. See how we're rapidly going through them? Like, I've left out all the other socialist policies. And they all require money. There's a universal theme here. Requires a lot of money for things that I don't think the Canadian people really want to see happen. I know conservatives don't like any of these things I've gone through. You can't. You can't be a physical conservative and actually support this stuff. I don't see any Albertan in the oil field so far reading any of this, liking any of this. And it's going to get worse. Don't worry. Number 43. Establish a legal definition of self-employment status to end discrimination between these workers, employers, and the different types of businesses. So what does that mean? Establish a legal definition of self-employment status to end discrimination between these workers, employers, and different types of businesses. So what do they think they're going to do here? I highlighted this because we all work for a living. We pay into EI, CPP, it's our choice. Does this mean they're saying that those who don't will get it no matter what because they're being discriminated because they chose not to pay into their EI, CPP, and just like foreigners who come to the country who've never worked here, they're automatically going to get old age security if they chose not to pay into it? Folks, individual accountability and real physical conservatism gives you the responsibility to choose yourself. So when he says change the legal definition of self-employment status to end discrimination between these workers, employers, and different types of businesses, what is he saying? That they're going to get EI, CPP, and old age security, regardless if they contributed? Because that's what it seems like to me. This is what socialists do. They say everybody gets the same thing, regardless of contribution. That's communism. So far, everything I've read so far stinks to high heaven of extreme socialism, crown socialism, and communism. But hey, I don't know. I'm just a real physical conservative, so I don't really know exactly what everybody else's social definitions are. But so far for me, this reads like a liberal NDP playbook to me. Number 44, reorientate employment supports and development, a training system that supports green jobs. See that, guys? Green jobs. Mr. Poilievres, Pierre Poilievres, is Ottawa. Look at the riding he ran in and he won. So he likes the idea of reorientate employment supports and develop a training system that supports green jobs. Oh, okay. Weird, because I thought that was Justin Trudeau's playbook, right? Isn't that what they highlight? Isn't what Pierre Poilievres say in the oral word? He says, oh, no, we're not doing any of that. But here he is in recommendation 44, signed off as Privy Council last year for the financial budget. Signed off, folks. He is signed off. Reorientate employment supports and develop a training system that supports green jobs. Okay. To me, I believe that's absolutely liberal. Number 56. eliminate the capital gains tax on donations of shares in private corporations or real property to charities. Folks, nonprofits and charities, you're giving foreign charities a way out here. This is now a way for them to put all steal, basically, and take money out of the country, and you're left holding the bills. They're not going to eliminate capital gains tax for all those in Canada, are they? Nope. Don't believe so. That's for foreigners. Recommendation 58. Reviewing existing tax measures available to both individual and corporate donors and make appropriate amendments to encourage giving to and supporting the recovery of the health charities sector. After what we've done with COVID-19, after we look at provincial budgets, folks, provincial budgets in Canada, nowhere else in the world will you find a country that puts so much into provincial health care. Why is the federal government going to remove taxes on charities in the federal health? What does federal health have over and above provinces, considering provinces, folks, provinces are in charge of your health care? That's how it works. So what are these health charities? Who are these health charities? Foreign. I'm telling you, international. And you'll see more because you're going to learn who wrote these policies. I'm going to show you that in part 2. But it's important to go through these because these are major red flags. We're seeing the globalist liberal Pierre Poilievres, who stinks to high heaven of the liberal conservative, a guy that's going to do exactly what Harper did and betray all Canadians. He has no conservative values. What he says and what he's committed to in writing is completely different. They're flip. They're absolutely flip. I don't hear him talking about any of these, and I don't see anyone asking me these questions. Pierre, last year, you signed off on all this shit. What are you? Liberal or conservative? Or are you that liberal conservative party and you just tell Canadians what they want to hear, and then, like Harper, you go and do something opposite? Is that how it works? Housing. Recommendation 59. Improve the National Housing Co-Investment Fund by providing greater resources, making the fund more transparent, and making the application process simpler and timelier. National Housing Co-Investment Fund. Folks, these are all going to be tied together. The co-investment fund is taxpayer-subsidized housing. But for who? This is for corporate who's going to build housing subsidized by you, Joe Jane taxpayer. Now, number 60, continue and enhance funding for Rapid Housing Initiative by allocating, ready, $7 billion for no less than 50,000 supportive housing units. The funding should be allocated directly to municipalities. You guys, do you want to know who the two municipalities are? Montreal and Toronto. Montreal and Toronto. Upper and Lower Canada, Liberal Conservative. We're going to go through who wrote these policies and who's the money for, because Canadians don't bother to look into things or any of the details. But it's absolutely the city of Montreal and the city of Toronto. Who's that $7 billion coming from? The Green New Deal or the oil sands out of Alberta? I think we know the answer. And whatever shortfall they have, Canadian taxpayers will be billed for it. Those who work for a living. Joe Jane, third class. They will take the lion's share of it. Number 61. Deliver necessary funding to develop shovel-ready, affordable housing projects which will also eliminate or stimulate the economy and create jobs by subsidizing housing projects with taxpayer money or printed money. I thought Pierre Poilievres wasn't into that. I thought he wasn't into that. But here, they don't have the money, so you have to print it for shovel-ready affordable housing projects, which will stimulate the economy and create more jobs. With our immigration rate, folks, I just told you, that's 1 year, 50,000 housing units. Pierre Poilievres promises that if he's Prime Minister, he's going to make 1 million housing units over 4 years, divided out. This is a promise just on the 2021 budget, folks. Just on Toronto and Montreal. He says he'll do 1 million. But where are they going to get the money for that? Print it? I'll show you the income tax that they're going to. I'll show you the income tax that they're going to go through too. I got to scroll because of that. Actually, I should. Let me just look at something. I'm going to turn this off. That's. I don't need that only for my face. Probably make it easier for you guys. Yeah, so here, 66. As part of the economic recovery, accelerate investments in infrastructure for fighting climate change, particular investment in public transportation. Pierre Poilievres is going fully the electric Green New Deal Joe Biden. Recommendation 66 should be a critical alert for all Canadians. If you think Pierre Poilievres is anything other than a sellout, you're sadly mistaken. This is right out of the WEF, which comes from the royal family. It's written in the Commonwealth Charter 2012. 2012. And if you want to know where Pierre Poilievres comes from, he comes from that time in absolutely the ministry of one Stephen Harper, where Pierre Poilievres became an honorable, which means he's a lifetime Privy Council, sworn to the crown. As part of the economic recovery, accelerate investments in infrastructure for fighting climate change, particular investments in public transportation. It means gas is only going to go up in Canada, taxation on it's going to go up so that you can't drive, so that you're going to have to take the electric bus, electric train, or anything else you're going to have, because there's not going to be electric plug-in stalls at every business, every apartment complex. Where are they going to get that infrastructure from? There's no money for that, no matter how much you print. Recommendation 66 or 68. Launch Via Rail's high-frequency rail projects, as it represents a key infrastructure initiative that will contribute to a more sustainable economic recovery for Canada, so that you can all get used to riding the electric bullet trains, because you won't be able to drive anymore. They're not going to have electric economy of cars. That's only for the very few, the very rich. Pierre will have one. All his friends who signed this bill and sponsored it will have one, but not you. Not you, average Joe Jane. You'll be in a dumpy apartment, paying out the nose in reduced wages in the Green New Deal. Because Pierre Poilievres is still with the WEF. He says he's not anymore. He says he quit, but that's a lie. A lie to trick you into electing him. The international globalists know Justin Trudeau has run his course. 2025 is the end. Jagmeet Singh and Justin have made a team together. They're seeing all these things through that Pierre Poilievres signed off on. He's one of the boys. It's published for all Canadians because it's law. They have to share this with you. But they're not. The media is not going to show you. Pierre is definitely never going to talk about it. In Canada, these guys are allowed to lie to you. Recommendation 69. Invest in infrastructure, particularly in those that promote walking and cycling. Are you guys ready, for all of you over the age of 40, to 75, you're going to have to learn how to ride a bike in the winter and walk in the winter very far distances. Stay within your 15-kilometer radius. Hey, lots of people can walk in 40 below to get their groceries, right? Imagine mother at home, the husband's all away working, and the mother's got to walk or catch the train carrying 10 bags of groceries, pushing a cart through the snow. Can you imagine, folks? This is Pierre Poilievres, folks. Justin Trudeau loves all this crap, but this is your Pierre Poilievres. Can't make it up. You can go back to that document, go through it, and you'll find all I did was copy the recommendations. Cycling and walking. Recommendation 79. Financially support the establishment of a quantum computing research institute in the Toronto area, similar to the Vector Institute, to build upon the world-class cluster of quantum research expertise in the city. For Toronto, nowhere else, it's just for Toronto. You'll find over and over, federally, all investments point to Toronto and Quebec. Over and over, when you read all the recommendations, I'm only highlighting that it's always the great goodies of globalism go to Toronto and Quebec all the time, specifically Montreal. Sorry, I shouldn't say Quebec. Montreal, Toronto. You're going to see that theme over and over. We're a country, but it's always Upper and Lower Canada, the two major, most important cities to win, Quebec and Ontario. Toronto and Montreal, at the expense of everybody else in Canada. You like this confederation? Do you like Pierre Poilievres? He smells like Trudeau to me. I don't know. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a dirtbag welder who's a physical conservative. I guess I'm no good. Recommendation 80. Establish a dedicated funding program to support early mover proponents in the small modular reactor sector as part of the SMR action plan. This is nuclear reactors, folks. That's the Green New Deal. Where's the pollution going to go? For all First people, they're already contacting chiefs to put all of Ontario has all the nuclears. They're already contacting them to dump all their toxic waste under the reserves because Indians are savage, according to the Indian Act. So it's good that the chiefs take it. They'll get paid out, but eventually you won't even have a reserve left. More of the assimilation. This is now going to go Canada-wide. Those SMRs are Canada-wide. And since we're not allowed to use enriched uranium, we get massive, constant changing of fuel cells, which means massive radioactive materials. They're going to need reserves all over Canada to dump them in. Because we know we can't dump them in Toronto or Montreal. That would be bad for Upper and Lower Canada. So they've targeted their savage Indian according to their Indian Act 1876. It's already started. Okay, where am I at here? Quantum computing. Oh yeah, small SMRs. Recommendation 82. Invest $35 million into Green Centre Canada's Advanced Network Project to accelerate startups and the development of chemical and materials clean tech companies. So this is all, folks, for the Green New Deal. We're going to invest in that, unproven, but that is what we're going to do. And you're going to see who has sponsored Pierre Poilievres. Who are these industry companies? Which companies? You're going to see the numbered companies from Ontario. It's sick. One of them's probably owned by Pierre Poilievres himself. Any money says, or a close family member. Recommendation 96. Create and fund a new agri-resilience program to help farmers transition to lower carbon agricultural practices, thereby reducing climate change or thereby reducing the growing climate risk in this sector. An agri-resilience program would reward innovation and the adoption of new, more resilient farming practices, thereby helping to reduce climate risk. How are the small farmers doing on that? Because I'll tell you, folks, in Europe right now, the very liberal NDP version, in one country specifically, all the farmers are fighting back because, of course, small average Joe farmer, Jane farmers, can't afford these big transitions, these big new clean energy programs and equipment. But guess who can? The subsidized, like Recommendation 96, all the subsidized companies, green new companies, corporate state farms. There's no difference. Big corporate farm or big state farm. There's no difference. You might as well call it crown divine communism. Pierre Poilievres wishes to destroy the small farmer, just like they're doing in many countries you're seeing around the world today, right now, from Africa to the EU. Craziness. Recommendation 100. Oops, went a little too far. Invest in the processing of natural resources and environmental development, particular in the following sectors: renewable energy, forestry, innovative technologies, wastewater management, and research and development. Your Green New Deal. Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden's Green New Deal. This is where you're going, folks. There's no oil field. And we'll show you in the hundreds and hundreds of companies and non-profit civil societies and billionaires, you're not going to find any of our standard energy producers there. You're not going to find private sector unions. You're not going to find non-union. You're not going to find any small business operators, none whatsoever, except for numbered companies belonging to honorable politicians. Well, at least their family members. Thousands of them, folks. This is Pierre Poilievres. I kid you not. Recommendation 111. Develop comprehensive industrial strategies and make investments designed both to strengthen core infrastructure that supports businesses' incubation activities and the expansion of critical domestic manufacturing capacity, as well as to ensure an adequate quality and quantity of supply chain infrastructure. To developing these strategies and making their investments, the government's focus should be and include auto, rail, clean water, aerospace, shipping, construction, materials, pharmaceuticals, and personal protective equipment, as well as such service and creative sectors as telecommunications, metals, communications and media. Finally, while taking these actions, the government should accelerate the delivery of funding to the core projects that are approved for support prior to COVID-19 pandemic. You guys, there was no primary sector, zero, none whatsoever. We can go back through that whole list. Nothing of the primary sector. This is tits up Canada. This is nutty, it's crazy, and it's absolutely Pierre Poilievres, liberal conservative. It was what Aaron O'Toole was mandated to do. It's what they're all mandated to do. Andrew Scheer before him, it doesn't matter. There is no such thing as you, the people, or any physical conservatism, or any real care for any of you. You are to be slaves. You are to lose your wealth-generating systems and go tits up. That's what they want. They want lifetime slaves. They want to destroy your ability to make children. They want to colonize by moving so many foreigners here under this slave action. They're destroying your sectors. You see how none of those sectors involve the primary sector, which generates wealth for you, the people. Where was forestry? Where was mining? Where was fossil fuels? Where was resources in any way, shape, or form? The answer was none. None. Recommendation 112. Establish an economic strategy table on the creation of industries to ensure sector growth and global competitiveness. But as above, those are only the industries that aren't primary, that generate wealth for the people in the country. Recommendation 123. Withdrawal from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Okay, that sounds good. But when you look at that, that's not China. So what? We're not leaving China? Recommendation 124. Publish the 2021 federal budget, a roadmap to eliminating ineffective fossil fuel subsidies by 2025 to respect Canada's G20 commitment in this area. See that? This is all globalism. A roadmap for the eliminating the ineffective fossil fuel subsidies by 2025 to respect Canada's G20 commitment in this area. See how they say G20 and not UN? Because the law hasn't been passed in the UN. You're being lied to, folks. You're being lied to. Garbage can UN. This is Canada's narrative. Canada's leading the charge under the UK and the royal family. Green New Deal. Joe Biden's corrupted too, but so is Pierre Poilievres. All of your established political parties are corrupt. They're dead against all of you. Again, this is Pierre Poilievres. This is all of his recommendations he signed off to. Recommendation 124. Published, 128. Implement a digital identity system that empowers Canadians to control their data that is held by the federal government. Yeah, I trust Pierre Poilievres to hold my identity, my digital identity. That's what I want. I don't know about all of you. I wonder why he's not campaigning on this. He's written it here. He sponsored this. He had it published. He signed off on this. Why is he not campaigning on that? Isn't he telling everybody the opposite? But right here he agreed. Implement a digital identity system that empowers Canadians to control their data that is held by the federal government, him and his party. Is that what you all want? Is that what you asked? Is that what Pierre Poilievres told you he's going to do? Because I'm pretty sure he said he was going to do the opposite. Recommendation 132. Provide the Canadian Border Services Agency and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency with the resources and training needed to thoroughly and effectively enforce regulations and standards for the import of dairy products at the Canadian border and ensure that the CFIA has the resources to conduct inspections of dairy processing facilities seeking to export into Canada. Dairy cartel, socialism, Pierre Poilievres, totally down with that. Totally down with that. Inflation, curb inflation, don't think so. Sorry, folks. That expands inflation. It expands food costs. More lies, liberal or conservative. There's no such thing as left or right. I've been trying to tell people this for many years, but Ronald Reagan, JFK, and even Richard Nixon tried to tell all of you this. Recommendation 132. Provide the Canadian... 134. Prioritize exports of clean burning Canadian natural gas and natural gas technology to coal-intensive countries to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. Guys, do you think anyone cares about our LNG when we don't have any means to send it? It's a lie. What it is we're basically going to crush our coal industry, liquefy natural gas that we can't export on to the world stage, meaning we're only limited to North and South America and the Panama Canal. That's all we get. We're being lied to, and lied to in a big way by the very corrupt Pierre Poilievres and absolutely many conservatives. Danielle Smith in Alberta right now, going for UCP, she told the same exact lie. And when you see Dane Lloyd as one of the sponsors of Pierre Poilievres' bullshit here, Dane Lloyd out of Stoney, he sponsored Danielle Smith. I was live just a week ago there to see that. And she lied to every citizen of Stony Plain, Spruce Grove, of Parkland County, lied to all of my people, lied bullface on that lie right there. Recommendation 135. Remain committed to achieving a goal of 90% non-emitting electricity by 2030, as well as commit to achieving 100% non-emitting electricity before 2050 by setting legally binding 5-year emission reductions milestones in order to achieve economy-wide net zero emissions by 2050. There's your Pierre Poilievres. Guys, gals, you've been lied to. Absolutely. He is a piece of shit. If you haven't figured it out after just these recommendations, I could have went through each one, but it would take days. It would take days. I don't know what to tell you. And it's sick. It's sad. Does it sadden me? Does it make me angry? Yes, it's why I'm doing the Party of the Canadian Constitutional. It's why it has to be done. We need constitutionalism. We need rules of governance, accountability. We have to shut these guys down because they don't care about any of you. I'm gonna scroll. I have to scroll. Sorry, folks. It's hard not to get angry, and people wonder why I get so mad about things, but this is why. Because you're dealing with bull-faced liars. They're legally allowed to lie to you. Legality in Canada requires them to publish this stuff, but the media doesn't highlight it. No one shares it with you. This is what they say. They're just stupid, low-life, degenerate working Canadians. They're no good for nothing. They're not in the Constitution. We, the elite, we, the first class, we are Canada. They're nothing. They're garbage. They're the slaves. They will work hard on the savage Indian lands where we will destroy the savage Indian. Indian Act 1876. I don't write this stuff, guys. This is the truth of Canada. And they're legally allowed to lie to you, manipulate, cheat, rip you off, rape you, take everything from you, ruin your children. They can do it. There's nothing legally stopping them in this country. Okay, number 138. Make investments in projects that will improve the renewable capacity of Canada's energy grids, such as the Atlantic Loop, to eliminate Canada's reliance on coal by 2030. So there won't be any more coal. Alberta's getting shut down, folks. Those people in coal industries are getting shut down. You can know now that under Pierre Poilievres, just it don't matter. Your jobs are gone by 2030. That's a fact. If you are in a coal industry right now for power, your job's gone by 2030. Conservative, liberal, don't matter. It's over. Recommendation 141. Provide targeted incentives for the research and development of heavy and commercial electric vehicles, including the development of electric ambulances. So again, everybody, all the public sector gets it, but none of you. None of you are listed here. You're no good for nothing. You're going to be on electric bus, as was said before. Electric buses and electric chains. Just like communism, because it's divine communism. Crown, monarchy, divine power of the elite first class. Worse than communism. At least the communism, it's for everybody on a shit level. Here, it's classes, layers. There's an elite first class, and then there's all of you. And they lie to you, and they're allowed to. So what do we got here? Okay, 142. Toward purchase of new and used zero-emission vehicles. Yeah, we got that. Guaranteed by the purchase of loans. Look at this. EVs for individuals and corporations, such as through a 4-year federal guarantee for electric purchase-related loans. Loans. So you can get a loan from the government if you're in that elite. It's not for everybody, folks. They don't say everybody. Recommendation 143. Significantly increase the electrification of federal government and Crown vehicle fleets. There it is. Only for the Crown. No, none of you. Unless you're sworn and working for the Crown in Canada. Learn what that is. I've gone through it many times for people. And they say right there, significantly increase the electrification of federal government and Crown vehicle fleets. You've got to be a crown sworn public sector worker. Anybody else, you can kiss their ass. You're only there to give your money. You will pay for it. And even if you don't get taxed for it, they're going to print money and lower your value and increase inflation and make you pay it back. They're already doing it through mortgages. Look at the Bank of Canada. Interest rates. You're all paying for it. Recommendation 144. There's the electric vehicle growth in Canada to reach 100% electric vehicle sales by 2040. Did you all know that's now Pierre Poilievres' strategy? Did you know that? Did he tell you that? Through a national ZV standard and national auto strategy that include building charging infrastructure and setting higher 1- and 5-year targets for electric vehicle charging stations deployment in establish targeting industry support programs. Yeah, establishing targeted industry support programs. Which industries? Again, crown industries, not the private sector. You're on your own. Expanding funding for ZEV training programs, committing to Canada's ZEV targets with regulatory measures, and developing national strategy for low-carbon commercial transport in urban areas. There's the end of farmers, man. There's not going to be any small business owners and small farmers by 2050, you guys. They're going to start wrecking you with a wrecking ball by 2040. It's listed right there. Aim to incentivize the purchasing of ZEVs by increasing the base manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSAP. Cut off for the ZEV program for elimination light-duty vehicle pickup trucks and SUV minivans from the current $45,000 with a $54,900 ceiling for the higher-priced items to $60,000 with a $69,000 ceiling to support the arrival of electric pickup trucks and SUVs, which will have a higher MSRP than smaller light-duty vehicles. Sedan threshold for remaining current levels. This will help increase regional equality and access for persons who require these large vehicles for their work and for their local context. So, see, folks, we have to subsidize the industry. You guys, this is, somebody said, can you copy this? I see I'm going to go through comments. This is part 1. I'm not going to do anymore. I know this is going to get shared out, folks, quite a bit. We'll get it up, and it needs all of you to share in groups. It's not about liking me. People don't like the truth, and I know it's hard for a lot of you, but this is the truth. It's not going to get taken down. You're not going to get banned on Facebook or on Twitter or anywhere else, because it's the truth, and I've showed you the government of Canada. I've showed you this is the Honorable Pierre Poilievres, I don't care what his name is. He's a piece of shit liar, but I'll go through a few questions, and this is part 1. We'll do more, because I see there's people, there's been lots of comments here. I'll have to, a lot of current members that support Pierre will be completely pissed. Well, yeah, you would think, but not, so obviously there's a lot of money going out, like for the big business people. Yeah, Nancy, no problem. You're welcome. I'm trying to scroll, guys. I don't know why it does this, but it gets hard. I'm having trouble. I don't know why my internet's acting up. I have to finish, guys. It looks like maybe the government's not happy. I will go back through comments. I'll answer questions. This is part 1 of a major series, guys. I have to break it down that way. I mean, look already. I'm pretty sure that's over an hour. And we haven't even got hardly through most of it. And I haven't even gone through the corporations. So I will go through comments. We'll see a lot of people. You just share the video. I've put the links. I've shown you the links in the video. People got to put on their big boy and girl pants. You got to start learning to get this stuff yourself. Because if you're not strong enough to do it, these politicians will continually stuff their crap into you, and they will keep cucking you. And that's the term. I'm sorry, people, but that's what it is. It's like a spouse who cheats on the other spouse and puts it right in their face, and you're expected to just accept it. You can't, people. You can't do that anymore. You've got to get strong. You've got to fight the abuser. Thanks. This is part 1. There'll be more. Bye now.